welcome to RotoGrinders Today. I'm Jordan Cooper, a.k.a. BlenderHD, BlenderHD. If you want to follow me on Twitter. And it's Wednesday, January 17th, and we'll be taking a look at the big NBA slate today, daily fantasy props and pick'em. So hit that thumbs up button on your way in the door. Give me those thummy thumbs. Hit the subscribe button if you're new here. Hit the notification bell to know when we go live. Join with me. Originally, it was supposed to be Kyle today, but Will is filling in for some good NBA action. I like the way, I don't know about you, Will. It's enticing me to get back into playing DFS for NBA. Like I always say, I do the props, I do the pick'em stuff for NBA. But the late swap, everyone's injured, injury report, like a lot of work, a lot of work for the similar ROI as props and pick'em. Mm-hmm. But recently now, both sites, DraftKings and FanDuel, have been like cutting off these like 10 o'clock games and stuff. They've been making it so like the latest game on the DraftKings slate is the Warriors Jazz 9 o'clock game. But I mean, yeah. I wouldn't have minded it if it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Like even if they just like cut it off even at the Charlotte Pelicans game, the Lakers game at 8:30, they put on, like, I almost wouldn't mind if they just split the slates like that, just so like I don't mind doing a late swap for like an hour, right? 7 to 8 and 8 I'm done, right? This is a little bit longer. Are you liking that, or do you like because as long as it's not like a 3-game slate, like if it could still be a 7-8 game slate,
yeah.
Do you care that it's like not like an 11 game slate with all the games, or do you prefer these types of things where you kind of you're done with your night as far as at least your lineups are concerned much earlier?
So Blender, for me, and I've talked about this, I think along on Grinders Live, on Crunch Time. I like this, and let me explain why. So 2 things for me. The first thing is this. I think FanDuel, DraftKings, they realize, I think the demographics of the traditional DFS player is in our age range and up, and maybe a little further back. Like those are like the hardcore. We are the hardcore DFS players. The newer generation, the newer people that are coming into DFS, their introduction to DFS is underdog, best ball, pick'em. It's prize picks. So this is why I think DraftKings pick 6 was so important for them, because this is the new generation's introduction to a form of DFS. The salary cap days, like we're the pool that's sustaining the industry, our group. Now, I'm not saying new people don't come in at all. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying majority of the population, and I've looked at the numbers, Blender, because I wrote an article about this a while ago about the changing landscape and where pick'em is versus salary cap, so forth and so on. And even the profits, it's astronomical. If you guys have a chance to check that out, you could. It should still be up on the RG site. You can just probably click my profile name and go read that article if you want to just kind of see the disparity in some of the things. But my point is, but people our age, Blender, not everyone, but a lot of us have kids and a family. And so trying to handcuff us to a computer for 4 hours till 10, 11 o'clock, we don't want to do that. We want our day to be done, right? We want to go kick up, watch the game if we want to, hang up. At least I do. Hang out with my family. I've got a son that plays basketball. He's got basketball games going on. I coach basketball. My daughters, one's in ballet, one's in art, one wants to cheerlead. I've got so much going on. I'm involved at my church as well, doing stuff there. I've got other things that I have to do with my day. So to handcuff myself to, late swap for 3 hours after the slate, oh man, it's terrible. So I for one have embraced this new, the slate mostly ends at about 8 o'clock. And even tonight, I don't think we're going to have too many shenanigans in the Golden State game, maybe the Lakers-Dallas game, but I'm okay with that. You know what I mean? So I'm all for it, having these shorter, well, not necessarily shorter, because you still get 8 games, slates that are ending for us, even though the games are starting, the sweat and the late swap is ending around 8 p.m. I love it, Blender. I'm all for it. Kudos to the sites for putting something like this in play.
I hope they extend it, even though it's not as an issue into MLB. I would love if you could give me at least 8 games on an MLB slate without
Blender?
including the West Coast 9:30, 10 o'clock games. Like that would be fine. And obviously in baseball, it's not it. We don't have like the injury stuff of like, oh, if this guy's out, you gotta play that guy. But a lot of times you're building lineups at 7 o'clock, and we still don't have like the Dodgers lineup in the 10 o'clock game. We don't have the lineup for the Angels or something like that.
Angels, the Giants, the Mariners. Right. Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm with you. And look, and guess what? Here's what I will say about baseball. I think baseball people may not like it as much initially because you will lose the Dodgers, who are going to have potent lineups. You will lose the Angels, but people probably aren't as interested in Angels now with Ohtani. So you get what I'm saying? Like, I think people might feel a way about losing the Dodgers, but we're getting everything else. And here's the other thing, Blender. Baseball is even different than basketball. When these games start at 10:30, now the season did shorten up last year with the pitch clock and all that stuff. Sometimes those games wouldn't end until 1:30, 2 in the morning, depending on extra innings. Blender was terrible. Not that I was up watching all of that, but still, like, the games don't end. So for people that are handcuffed to their phones, it's like, guy, you got work in the morning or whatever. You need to go to sleep. But they're waiting to sweat, especially if they're in top 10. They're trying to see how much they're going to make before they go to bed. So I'm with you, man. I like the shorter slates, but still getting a full complement of players.
Well, let's take a look at the NBA slate today. We have a lot of people we have a lot of Q tags as usual.
Yeah.
I mean, we have obviously if you're for free, you don't have to be a premium member here at RotoGrinders. You could get the situation room, the DFS injury report that is free on RotoGrinders, which will go through, basically, and you could sort by impact rating of like the injury news that we're looking at that is the most important, right? And the little team notes: Jalen Brunson, Luka, LeBron, Drew, Porzingis, Anthony Edwards, right? We have Cade Cunningham is already, he's out. He's an O tag. Franz Wagner out, right? Stuff like this. So also in lineup HQ, you could even sort by just like injured, right? And remember, our projections. This is very important for if you're betting on props or pick them with our projections here at RotoGrinders. Is that we include the questionable players. If you're listening to this Q tag, until there's news otherwise, you're going to be factored into the projections. So Anthony Edwards is factored into the Timberwolves projections. Luka is factored into the Mavs projections. So if Luka's out, like obviously all the Dallas projections are going to be completely different. So if you're betting on props and taking pick'em cards now, like it's quite possible that the market believes that Luka's not going to play. And you're going to see like, oh, well, I'm going to take Kyrie under and Hardaway under and all the like, wow, I'm getting so much value on the unders. It's like, yeah, well, because even though he's a questionable on the, he has a Q tag, most people think he's not going to play. So that's why you're getting those numbers. So it's very important to understand what players are actually in the projections. And then when you see that news shift, waiting for our projections to update, looking at the timestamp. We have if-then projections for major players. So you could kind of, that's for fantasy purposes, maybe not for the stat level projections. But it's very important here. I mean, like I said, I'm not playing the DFS slate. I always treat the LeBron Q tag as like a fake Q tag. So like to me, that's a different type of Q tag. But how about these guys? How about Brunson, Luka, Anthony Edwards? I mean, are these Qs that are like more likely to play, or is it 11 o'clock in the morning and it's still up in the air?
I mean, I don't. Let me piggyback off something you said. LeBron and Anthony Davis are questionable every slate. And I think if we just say, okay, LeBron's going to play, you know, 80% of those slates, we're going to be right, Blender. Really, probably 90% of those slates, LeBron's questionable. We're going to be right. So I love it. Like I think he's going to play, and that's just how they're handling him because of age. It gives them an out, Blender, anytime he decides, hey, I need a day off. You get what I'm saying? Like, this is their way of playing the game, I think.
Right. Well, I mean, I think the key that we have to monitor, though, is like if we take a look at Dallas, for instance. We take a look at these Dallas projections. Obviously, we sort by RGV. Luka, Kyrie, and then nothing because everyone else is way overpriced for Luka to be in. But what happens if Luka's out? Do we still go back to a Hardaway at 6,400? I mean, like, these guys aren't cheap anymore. Like Jaden Hardy's 4,700. I mean, like does it really move the needle even if Luka's out, or it puts some of these guys? Which guys are more in play if Luka's out? But I mean, I haven't looked at the if then projections, but I'm gonna say that none of these guys are gonna be like you. I don't think anyone's gonna be, oh, you got to get this guy into 90% of your lineups type of what we see in NBA sometimes, where it's like, oh, this guy's way too cheap. You almost have to play him. I don't think anyone's gonna be that guy, even if Luka sits.
Yeah, I think Kyrie will pick up a fair amount of steam because he's 9,300. It's still not like crazy priced. For me, I wouldn't mind Tim Hardaway Jr. just because of the amount of shots he takes. Some of the other guys, though, like maybe you consider Derrick Jones Jr., but all in all, like you said, these guys are priced up. It would still just be mainly Kyrie for me. Because the other guys, I don't, like I said, Tim Hardaway is probably the only other guy, Blender, that could legitimately beat us, and we might need him because of pure volume of shots. And if he's hitting shot, he scores 30 real points, he's probably scoring 40 fantasy points ish. So at that point, I think he's okay. But yeah, some of the other guys, I don't think, like you talked about Jaden Hardy at 47. That's a bit too rich for my blood when he's probably going to play 20 minutes at max.
Let's take a look at the Timberwolves. What do we do if Anthony Edwards sits? Does Conley at 5,700 seems like a okay value, kind of semi-value piece currently, even with Edwards in. Would that bump Conley up even more? Are we going to be looking at, Jaden McDaniels, someone like that, or we it makes it more Karl Anthony Towns?
Yeah, Karl Anthony Towns, I think he would probably be the ultimate chalk Blender, and for good reason, right? Like, so the thing is, Karl Anthony Towns, his usage of production goes up astronomically, Blender, with Anthony Edwards off the floor. If I'm not mistaken, it's somewhere around 38%, 38, 39%. It's something crazy. And so, his projection, even right now, Blender, it's good, right? At 7,700 on DK. Like, even right now, if Anthony Edwards, if he is out, I have to assume Cat's projection goes to around 48. 48 pushing 50. And at that point, he probably becomes massive chalk, but it's one of those situations where Blender, he's good chalk. You would need to play him because this matchup with Detroit should yield really good results. I'm with you on Mike Conley. I think he would be good as well. Another guy that I think could possibly sneak into the equation, I do think Rudy Gobert would be all right too, but Kyle Anderson could possibly sneak in as a good value play as well at 4,300. I think his projection would bump to somewhere in the 20s if Anthony Edwards is out, and I think that would be another guy that you could use tonight as well.
And then let's take a look at the Knicks. Brunson. Brunson and Randall are guys that, they're playable on, at 8,400, 8,900. On a slate like this, like, they're not value, but they're not bad. They're there. right? But what happens if Brunson is out? I mean, Card also has a Q tag. I mean, what happened? I mean, do we start bumping up guys like Dante DiVincenzo or Quentin Grimes or I mean, what does this Knicks team look like from a fantasy perspective? I mean, does Malachi Flynn get into the rotation now? Like, what do we look at? What should, because I mean, some of these guys are cheap. So what are we looking like? Miles McBride is there. I mean, some of these, whoever is going to be, subbing in as point guard.
Yeah, to
I
me,
mean, OG Anunoby. I mean, it feels like if Brunson's out, 36 minutes with his ball handling responsibilities and usage has to go somewhere, right?
Well, Blender, for me, it's probably McBride at 5,300. And I'm only saying that because the past 2 games, he's already been pushing 40, 35 to 40 minutes. So he for sure is probably going to play upper 30s. You know what I'm saying? So, like, he's option 1, I think, because he's already has played big minutes past 2 games. I would assume his minutes would continue. Now, I do think OG would get some sort of a bump. Looks like right now, Blend, I think, where do we have OG? Around 26 fantasy points-ish. He'd probably my thoughts are he'd probably bump to around 29 to 30, which still doesn't make him great, right? But those are my thoughts just right off the top of my head. McBride would probably get the biggest, but like right now, we don't really have a good projection on him. It looks like, but
well, we only have him for 12 minutes. So I mean,
right,
obviously it's going to be
right. So that would, but I'm saying if we bumped him to Blend, if we bump him to 35 minutes,
right. If you bump him to 35 minutes, then he's doable.
Right.
It doesn't make him. It doesn't make him screaming value though. He's 5,300. It's not like he's not 3K. He's not one of these 3K guys. But yeah, you give him 30 minutes or so, and it's like, okay. But you know,
but
he's not someone that should be like 70% owned. It's like, okay, he's there, 15-20% owned. You can play him, and there you go. You're fine.
Yeah. So I would be fine with that. DiVincenzo, he's already playing minutes. He'd probably get a slight bump as well. And then I think the big thing is something you mentioned. Is it Quentin Grimes or is it Malachi Flynn? Because Malachi Flynn is the true point guard. Both of them are getting 10 minutes a game-ish, 10 to 12 minutes a game. So, if you give Flynn 25 minutes, then now we're in a totally different scenario. So I'm not sure how the Knicks would handle this because Brunson has been durable, and so is Randall and these other guys. So I would say it's similar to last night, Blender, where in tournaments I would be not taking a stand, but just getting a little different. Like last night in tournaments, I tried to get sneaky, and crunch time. Obviously, I was saying, hey, instead of me playing a bunch of Daniel Tice, I'm going to play a bunch of Miles Plumlee because I'm Mason Plumlee because he's going to play anyway. It's just whether or not he ends up getting minutes. Well, then he ends up starting. So then I wasn't sneaky anymore, and we find out till later. But my point is, even if McBride started, I think playing some Grimes and Flynn, not a whole lot because the projection isn't going to look great. But I think in tournaments, getting a piece of both of those 3K guys on DraftKings would be advantageous because if one happens to play 28 minutes, Blender, then now you've got a leg up on the field.
Right. And obviously these are situations that if Edwards doesn't play, if Brunson doesn't play, if Luka doesn't play. But I mean, as of 11 o'clock in the morning, I mean, that's kind of what we're looking at right now. I mean, because that's going to make or break the entire slate. So,
and we won't start getting hard news until after 1:30 Eastern Standard Time. So I don't even to be honest with these. I don't even look at the injury stuff until after then. Because it's pointless. These NBA teams they don't put anything out until roughly 1:30 unless somebody's absolutely out already. Then we know ahead of time.
Right. Like if you're going, okay, I'm going to build my NBA lineup at 11:21 a.m. Eastern time for the 7 o'clock slate, and then think that you're going to just walk away and be done. Like you're probably donating most days because there's no point. I mean, even when I was playing NBA DFS, until that 5:30 injury report comes out, I don't even look at this. I mean, it's like I don't even look at the slate. Like, what's the point? Now I look at it earlier only because I'm betting on props and pick 'em. And let's take a look at that. Eric Johnson in the chat is talking about Gobert props. I know you got the prop shop, Will, in the Discord, rotogrinders.com/Discord. Feel free to join Chiefs prop shop. Do you got anything early? I know NBA props, doing NBA props early is, a mixed bag.
Yeah.
Do you got anything that you like either on the regular sports books with props or on Prize Picks and Underdog with the pick'em stuff for today in NBA?
So I do, and let me just say that I do want to answer Eric's question. So Eric, you're not going to get anything from Minnesota right now because with Anthony Edwards questionable, they're not going to put the stuff up. So you can just throw your hands up and say, hey, okay, well, I'll just have to get whatever the line is and decide if I want to get involved with it when they post it. They're not putting anything up for the Timberwolves until they get the official Edwards news. Blender, I do have access to Flip, which is helped me expand and not have to play everything in a parlay style. I've been able to utilize our projections to my advantage. So I do have Brandon Ingram at 5.5 assists. I am taking the under. He is playing Charlotte. I was able to get it at -125. I was okay with that number. That was reasonable enough. So I got it there. I got Trey Jones under 6.5 assists. I was able to get that at -135. That was on Flip. I was still okay with that. I did take Tyler Hero less than 32.5 points, rebounds, assists. I was able to get that at -125. So once again, folks, Blender probably can get this at better odds than I can because he's got access to the books. Me personally, I have to get this type of exposure in terms of single legs on Flip, and I have to accept some of the odds. I don't accept everything, but I do have to accept some of the odds. Now, the other thing, too, that you have to remember is when I start playing pick'em and I go to 5 picks, I'm pretty much getting around -119 per leg. So I that's another reason why I play a lot of the pick'em. But at any rate, those are some of the ones I have on Flip. And then for those of you that are on Pick 6 right now, Pick 6 is more of a peer-to-peer thing, so the payout's going to fluctuate, and you just have to know that. But like last night on 2 Picks Blender, we're supposed to get about 3x, and I think we ended up somewhere around 3.5 to 4, which is, you see what I'm saying? So it's gonna fluctuate some. Some nights we may get 5x on 2 picks because enough people just didn't get it right. So you just have to know that going in. But I will say a good line on DraftKings Pick 6 Blender, they have Giannis Antetokounmpo at 34.5 points. And that's what our projections have him, I think, around 29 last I checked. And he was even a little lower than that on the sports books. So that's when that's going to be advantageous on Pick 6 for those of you who are there. Also, for me here in terms of other things that I like, and I'm going to check my pick'em right now. I did take Jimmy Butler at less than 5.5 rebounds. I also took Bam Adebayo at less than 12.5 rebounds, but that one has now bumped, I think, to 12. And I can't remember if Jimmy's rebounds have bumped down, but those are 2 that I have on Prize Picks, along with Brooke Lopez steals that I have. I have that one as well. You can check our props and pick'em package to get that one. That one is on the pick'em tool, so that's one that I have incorporated as well. But yeah, so there you have it, Blender. Those are a few that I have in play that I kind of got in this morning, and I'll get some more rolling as well.
Right, I'm putting the stuff in just from our pick'em tool right now. Right.
Yeah.
Some of the Brandon Ingram just jumped a half a point. So you get rid of that right here.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna put this. I'm gonna put my $30 5-pick card right in.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how did I get these? Right, Brooke Lopez, less than half a steal,
and that's what I've been hitting every day. When I say hitting, Blender, I'm not talking about we win it. I'm saying that one shows up regularly. Let me clear that up.
Right,
that one shows up regularly.
Right. I got Lauri Markkanen less than 1.5 blocks and steals. I got Giannis less than 39.5 points and assists. Jimmy Butler less than 10.5 rebounds and assists. And Jalen Duren more than 15.5 points and assists. And how do I get these? Well, that's what the Prize Picks Pick'em tool. If you're a premium member here at RotoGrinders, or you subscribe to the Props and Pick'em package, like these are tied to our statistical projections, right? If you're a premium member, you can download the statistical projections and do whatever you want with them. But if you know, most days, since I'm downloading our statistical projections and I'm running them through Excel, and I'm betting on like anything with an edge, right?
Yeah.
But for the Prize Pick stuff and the underdog stuff, I basically go to the Pick'em tool and I say, give me five. What's the top 5 on the board? Give it to me. What's the top? Sometimes I mix and match some. Sometimes I do NHL and NBA, and I typically I make 4 or 5 cards, and I'm done in 2 minutes. I mean, I'm just like, what's the top here? It's like, okay, Brook Lopez, Lauri Markkanen, John Collins, right? Well, the John Collins number moved, so it was it's now 13.5 on Prize Pick, so that kind of went away. Giannis, right? And I just went and just bing, bing, bing. That's what I mean. While you were talking, I just put it in, and you're done based on our projection.
And let me say this too: shout out, kudos, tip of the cap to Chris Jamino and the team. DK Pick 6 came out within a week or two. They had it in the tool. I mean, you just listen, folks. I'm not sure if Jamino's watching. He's probably not. He's probably in the lab cooking up something new for next year already pushing forward. Dan, the whole team just being so progressive. Like Pick 6 was up almost instantaneous, almost not the same day, maybe a week and a half, Blender, and we had it in the tool. And so, folks, for those that don't know, we've got the tool for everything, all the main things that are up. Prize Picks NBA, Underdog NBA, Pick 6 NBA, Prize Picks NHL, Underdog NHL, Prize Picks NFL, Underdog NFL, Pick 6 NFL. Folks, the tool is incredible. The tool alone, Blender, is worth the cost of the Props and Pick'em package. The tool alone. And so it identifies, like you said, based on our statistical projections, things that we're going to have an edge on. And it also shows you how often this particular side of the prop wins, right? And so it gives you enough information head on that you don't really have to think about it. And so I love it. And thank you guys, everybody that worked so hard behind the scenes to make things like this, accessible, for the player.
Well, James Thrash earlier asked, is there a way to upload projections into the Props and Pick'em model? Example, the Blitz for NFL or other projection source. No, there's no need to do that. You can download anything you want and do anything you want. I mean, if you're getting projections from other places, like you don't need our tool. Just compare those compare the stats to the lines. You can do that in Excel yourself. I mean, this is our, if you see on the screen, these are our premium NBA projections. You can see last updated an hour ago. Projected ownership updated 7 minutes ago. You don't have to worry about the ownership when it comes to betting. So it just shows everything here. But these are all these are means, not medians. These are means because they're done for DFS purposes. So you see here, 3 points allowed, to blocks plus steals, PRA, PR, PA, blocks, steals, turnovers, 3 points made, assists. I mean, it's all here. Like, you could download this entire table with this button, download a CSV, and you could do whatever the hell you want with it. I mean, there are other tools on the market that, in addition with Excel, that you can manipulate whatever you want and have it just show across the board of like what books that you have access to have the best price. You go to scoresandodds.com. Go to scoresandodds.com. It'll show you the best number and best price in market, and then you can eyeball it. I mean, it takes a little longer to do that, but I mean, you could just go down the list and go, okay, Capella points, You know, you go to the Atlanta game and you go, let me take a look at all these props. You could use our extension. If you could download these projections, you could also have the Chrome extension that overlays these projections on Prize Picks, on Underdog. So you could just eyeball them that way. Just understand DFS projections are mean. So you have to kind of, which way the stats skews to give you which ones have the biggest edge. Or you could do that in Excel. We give you access. The most valuable part of this is our projections. What you do with them afterwards, feel free to.
Yeah.
I bring, dude, I download these typically later, typically 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. I will look early for some stuff that is just way out of whack and hammer some of those in games that I don't have to worry about injuries as much. And then like at 3 o'clock, I just go to this page, I download it, I load it into Excel. You compare those numbers to, I got DraftKings, I got FanDuel, I got Bet365, I got BetMGM, and I got Caesars. And I compare to all across the board, just right, same line, just across the board, and go, the numbers, 12 points, and the line is 10.5 at plus 110. It'll convert that into like, oh, that's a 4.5% edge positive or something like that. And like, okay, I always get the best price and the best number, and I just go bang through, and typically 30, 40 minutes, I could get like 50, 60, 70 bet. I mean, I could just hammer it all down. You could do that with this, but if you're not looking to like bet in volume like that, and you just want, I just want to be able to put 50 or $100 down on like the best couple of the highest edge props that are available. That's what the prop model is for. That's what the pick'em tool is for.
Yeah.
That's what that type of stuff is for. These are not necessarily meant for you to like, oh, I want to be able to load stuff in and do that. Like, no, this is just quick come and go. Just like Eric Johnson said, we need a prop show. We don't need a prop show. Just go. Why? If I did a prop show, Will, it would be me reading from this tool in the prop model. I mean, well, why would anyone tune into that? Just go. Just literally go to it. Right? My picks are these picks. Right?
Yeah. Let me say this.
Prop shop. A lot of times I check into the prop shop, and and you chime in and go, this is what I got today. And it's like, yeah, 95% of the time, what you have, I have.
Yeah.
And
yeah. Well, and here's the thing too, Blender, because obviously we're using these tools to make decisions. I will say this: there will be times where I know. So if you've been doing this long enough, and I know you have, how Prize Picks or Underdog are going to bump the lines. And I'm bringing this up for a reason. If I know I want to take it under, even though our projections don't agree, because it's not every day. It's not every day. But sometimes I say, I think this is a little bit too high, right? Like, as an example today, I'm not taking this one today. I'm just using it as an example. Typically, Jaylen Brown comes out at 5.5 rebounds daily, right? On days that I say, okay, I think this is an under spot for Jaylen Brown based on a variety of factors. A team that, doesn't play defense well. You can make a lot of shots against them, so their rebounding numbers are low because there's no need to rebound as much. As an example, right? I'll say, okay, I don't think Jaylen's going to get, more than 5.5 rebounds. But I don't take it while it's at 5.5 because I already see the 5.5 line is, minus 140 and, over, and the underline is like plus 110. Well, I already know based on historical situations, Prize Picks is going to bump that to 6. Underdog is going to bump that to 6. So on those days, I do think that's something that, guys, you need to know. If you want to go kind of against the grain a little bit, just wait until they bump it and then take it. Same thing, especially in baseball, Blender, like with strikeout props. I disagree probably more frequently with the blitz. And when I say more frequently, I'm saying in NBA, it might be 10% of the time. And in MLB, it might be 20% of the time. That's an example, right? So 80% of the time,
you're talking about the bat. You're talking about Cardi's the bat projection.
Correct.
Obviously, his blitz projections wouldn't be very good for baseball.
Correct. The bat. And I'll look at our projections as well. But if I don't agree, if I say, I know Spencer Strider's at 7.5, This is a really high strikeout team. The Blitz has them at 7.89. We have them at 7.2. As an example, RG Lions at 7.5. The books, are saying, over is, plus 120 for 7.5, but under is minus 150. I'm just throwing numbers out there. The point is, I know that the pickup sites are now going to adjust this down to a push. So at 7, right, I'm just going to wait. So in those situations, then obviously in the morning we get up, or before we go to sleep for baseball, typically, we'll go ahead and get some stuff in, right? But on those particular days where I know, okay, they're probably going to bump this in the direction that's going to be more advantageous for me, that's what I will do. So you guys, if you just want to do the quick stuff, and the quick stuff is profitable, so I don't want you to think it's not. That's what this tool is for. You can get in and get out really quick. For those of us that, do this full time, from time to time, I will wait on certain bumps because I know which side I want to play, and I know how they're going to shift it. So, sorry, I know that was a round the world way to explain something, but I did think.
No, you're giving me time to go through the prop model and get my FanDuel stuff in, right? So, I mean,
gotcha.
I want to show on the show, like people ask me, it's like, well, I want to see your process for sports betting. It's like, this is my process for sports. I mean, like it's almost stupid. I mean, obviously, when I download the projections, I'm going to end up taking all the ones that are in the top 20 of the scores and odds prop model anyway, right? Because they're going to be the highest edge ones when I put them in Excel anyway. Just that I'm not going to just get the top 20. I'm going to get the top 200, right? That's kind of the whole point. So I have no problem going right now and saying, give me $40 on like anything that's listed here, right? FanDuel, Capella points over 10.5. Let's see. Let's bring it over there. Let's see what's still up. So, I know to me it seems boring why someone would watch a show that's this, but this is what sports betting is. Of like, what does our model say? Our model is better than the sportsbooks models because they get a third party and they don't take care of it. You just can't be greedy. Don't go in and try to get $4,000 on these because then they're going to limit you to $2, right? Right. So I'm under the rest. So I'm just betting $30-$40 on like everything and let them figure out what I'm sharp with and what I'm not sharp with. So like I just go through the list, right? Capella, you do the search function on FanDuel. You go Capella's over 10.5. We have is a 58% shot. And it's at plus 102, which is like 49%. So that's there you go. There's an edge there. They're $40 over.
Right. And see, and Blender, here's the thing too. Here's what I think is important for people to understand. All you're doing is taking what the data says, right? Hear me out here. Hear me out. There's a reason I'm saying it this way. You're not going in saying, oh, this is minus 160, so this is good. This is minus 180. So this is good. No. That's not what we're doing. Because sometimes I think that's a misconception that minus 160 means good. Okay, so
minus 160 just means an implied probability of like 62%.
Correct. So
that's all that means.
And I'm right. And I'm not saying that to insult anyone. I'm saying that to say we're going to take whatever is advantageous, whether it's plus 120, plus 140, minus 105, wherever we get the best line, best price compared to what our projections say is what we're looking at, right? So, and I'm saying that because you got Capella, you said I think it went plus 102. Right. But here's the thing. Plus 102 doesn't mean bad. See, and so I think sometimes people, when they see plus money, they think, oh, plus money that might not hit if it's plus 102. No. I just wanted to debunk that theory because sometimes, Blender, people think that. They think, minus 160 versus plus 102 is better. And it's not. It's just about how they anticipate things are going to move.
The thing is that like in NHL, it's often that I'm taking minus 200s, right? Often I'm taking minus 200. What is minus 200? It's 66% implied probability. Correct. So if our model shows that thing Whatever you're taking at minus 200 is, let's say, a 75% probability. Well, what's 75%? 75% is what? As far as American odds are concerned.
Right.
Minus 300.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
So it should be minus 300, and they're giving it to you for minus 200. So the difference between 66% and 75% is 9%. That is your edge. 9%. Doesn't matter. And you go, well, if I put down $50, I only win 25. It's like, yeah, but actuality, you're winning like $10 more than you should, because
that's what I was going to say.
15, right? And then the opposite occurs, that sometimes in hockey, this especially happens in hockey, I'm taking like someone's like over half an assist at plus 200, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, well, if you're taking plus 200, what is plus 200? 33% implied probability. What does our model say? He gets an assist 40% 45, of the time.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
40 to 45% is usually
of the time. You have a 7% edge there. So you're getting paid. You're getting paid plus 200 when they should be paying you plus 150. So that extra 50 cents there, that is your edge. So that's the whole point, is that is welcome to sports betting. That all it is finding the arbitrage between what we project, or you project if you have your own model, the actual probability, the likely range of outcomes of these events, and what the books are putting a number and a price on. And if you have it slightly more, 2%, 3% off in your favor, you're taking it. If you don't have it, you don't take it.
And Blender. And that's why in MLB, that's why that sport is such a blessing for me and a curse. I tell people, I don't know if I've ever told you this, and I know we got to close out at soon. I know too much about baseball and understand it too much. And so it's a blessing and a curse, because I see the edges, because I know so much about the data, and I'm in it. I've been in it so long, right? So a lot of times I can look and say, okay, yeah, based on this lineup, even our projections are Card. And listen, man, I'm not someone that's going to, once again, go against the blitz every single. That's not what I'm saying. But there are times when I look and I say, oh, this is way too low, or this is way too high. And on those days, Blender, that's typically when I'm getting things at plus money, because I'm going to get the projections and the books, right? But I have to be comfortable with that. And so for me, I'm saying, man, this should probably be minus 120, and they're giving it to me at plus 140 today. Wow, I got to take this. You know what I'm saying? And so that's the game that we're playing, on a daily basis. And on the, a lot of times I'll be right. And guess what? I'll go through stretches where I'll be wrong. And you have to be okay with that, because the models aren't going to get it right either. And so I'm saying that to deter people, because I've seen this before as well, Blender. This is more like a talk show today, which is why it's called RotoGrinders Today, obviously. Sometimes people will go and they say, oh, well, the top 20 model hasn't hit for 2 days. Okay, no problem.
What does it mean hasn't hit? I mean, your expectation, even on 20 bets, I mean, if you go 13-7 with a 8% ROI, that's normal. That's
no, I know. But Blender, I'm trying to bring this down to the average person's level and thinking, and then let's build it and bring them up so they can be better players. You can't expect to go 100% every day. On the days where you go 100%, just count that as a blessing. Say, man, this was awesome. And know tomorrow you may not win any. But you know what I'm saying? Now, over the long haul, you're going to be profitable, and it's going to be a lot slower grind. But you just have to know that going in, Blender. Like, and I'm not saying that directly to you, obviously. I'm saying that to the listeners. Like, on days where you sweep, I mean, it's a freaking awesome day. But even right now, Blender, like with me on Flip, most days, if I've got 10 in, I'm probably going 6 for 10, 7 for 10, sometimes 5 for 10. Most days I'm going 6 or 7 for 10. And depending on how the odds have broken out, right, I'm just taking small profits daily. Daily.
Right. So like what you saw me do on the screen right now while you were talking and doing all this is that I just went to FanDuel, because we have on the prop model the numbers, the win percentages, the edge numbers, and then where the best price and number is. And I just went to FanDuel. I took Sadiq Bey over 5.5 rebounds. Jonas Valanciunas under 14.5 points. Giannis under 32.5 points. Capella over 10.5 points. Giannis under 51.5 PRA. Giannis under 39.5 PA. McCollum over 4.5 assists. At the prices that they are. So, like the assist prop, for instance, for McCollum was like plus 124, right? We have him as at a 50% shot of hitting over 4.5. So you have to think, like you said, to the average person. We're trying to get the average people, the average person that's up to our level, thinking conceptually. 50% is what? The biggest skill that you could have getting from level 1 in sports betting to level 2 is being able just simply understanding how to convert American odds to implied probabilities. That's it, right?
Yeah.
And then understanding the difference between two implied probabilities is what the edge number is. So 50% is what? Plus 100. So these things happen over, like, just think in your head. 50% is plus 100. 60% minus 150. 66% minus 200. 75% minus 300. 80% minus 400. Right? Keep on going.
Yeah.
Just keep on going like that and estimate even in between. It's like, well, what happens if it's plus 105? It's like, well, that's probably like 48%, 48.5%.
48.5.
Something like that.
Yeah, 48.5.
Right. So if McCollum's assist over, for instance, on FanDuel, I'm gonna literally go to it. Because you saw me, I took it. Over plus 112. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What's plus 112? Plus 112 is about 54%. I do have 46%, something like that, 46%.
Yeah.
Well, our projections, you can see right here, the win percentage is the probability of this whatever this event is. So over 4.5 assists, 50.4%. So that's about plus 100.
Roughly. So we're getting about a 4% edge.
Right. So plus 112,
you're
getting paid more. Now, if you went now, let's say this is an hour from now, and you went and let's say this chart didn't get updated, right? So always check the timestamps and everything like that. If you went to FanDuel and let's say the number on the over 4.5 was minus 120. Well, you wouldn't take this anymore. This would be negative EV because
correct.
It's a 50% shot. It doesn't, well, it's listed on the chart. It's like, well, the numbers move and you have to wait for the chart to get updated, right? This is all the numbers and all the books. If this moved, let's say the assists move to 3.5. Over 3.5 wouldn't be 50%. Over 3.5, maybe 70%.
Yeah.
Right?
And
then the number on over 3.5, maybe minus 180.
Yeah,
right?
That's what I was saying. I would say minus 160, but we're in the same vein here. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But just understanding just that simple concept of the projections have a range of outcomes. CJ McCollum over 4.5 assists happens about 50% of the time. He goes over.
Right.
What is 50%? Plus 100. Can you find something better than plus 100? If you see a book that has it at minus 110, don't bet on it. But if you see a book at plus 110, you bet on it. Right? That's the difference. It's not whether or not McCollum goes over or under. It's whether or not you're getting the right number and the right price for the likelihood of that happening.
And that's what I was about to say, Blender, because I wanted to check Flip while we were live just to see how close they were, and they're at plus 100.
Well, that's dead on. It's break even.
No, yeah, correct. So that's what I'm saying. I just wanted to check while we were live to see where we were, because Flip is one of those where Blender, it very well could have been at minus 105. You see what I'm saying? It very well could have been there. So I just want to check and see. So that's something that you have to know going in. That's why I said sometimes I'll accept it and sometimes I won't. That's when I'm gonna let it sit where it is until we get something different there. But yeah, at any rate, that's that.
But that's where all your profit, that's where all the profit comes from in sports betting. A lot of times it's not getting the thing right. It's getting an oversized price for getting the thing right is where the money gets made, right?
Yeah.
While me and you will, or me and someone else could bet on the same actual events. Like, let's say someone later in the day literally bet on everything I just bet on FanDuel, right? Let's say literally, and they bet $40 a bet. They bet the same exact bets on the same exact occurrences, but they didn't look at the price at all 7 hours from now. And let's say all of them hit, right? I would still probably end up making $60 to $80 more than you.
Correct.
Right? Like,
Correct.
I would make, like, it's almost like I won two extra bets while you didn't, simply because I got the best number and the best price and you didn't. And it's quite possible you got numbers that were actually negative EV that you paid too much for and you got bailed out because it went over anyway or went under anyway. In the long run, me winning the extra 60 or $80 in that scenario, that's where all the profit. Next thing you know, at the end of the year, you're like, how come I'm down 2%, 3% on the entire year? I've been sports betting all year and I'm down 3%. And I go, well, I'm up 6%.
Yeah.
And they go, well, how are you up 6% and I'm on down 3%? And we're kind of betting on the same things. It's like, yeah, because I'm getting the best number and the best price. And that's where all the money comes from. That's where all
absolutely. That's and that's how it works. Like, I Blender, I know that sounds, I know we make it seem, let's call it simple, but it really is.
It really is simple.
Yeah.
We make it seem
really
simple
is.
because it is simple.
Yeah. It really is that simple. And once again, I tell everybody, MLB rolls around, I get a little bit more in the weeds. I dig a little bit more because I know too much, and I know that, right? And so I end up against the grain in certain spots where other people end up against the grain. But in a general sense, like I said, I'm still 80% of the time, I'm going to be right in line with the bet, right? And everybody else.
But Will, the point is, even with what you're doing, even if you're against the projection system that we have, you mentioned before, you're still trying to get the best number and the best price.
Correct.
Right? If you know that strikeout number is going to go down, if you have Kevin Gausman at, like, if you see him, he gets posted at 6 and at 6.5, and you have his over, and you know that, like, the bat has him at 5.8 or something, and you know that people are going to be taking the under, like, especially on Prize Picks or something. It's like, he's at 6.5 now, but if I wait until like 3 o'clock,
he'll be at 6,
and I'm going to take the right. So you're waiting for the bet. You're waiting so you can get the best number at the best price.
Correct.
Sometimes that's early. A lot of times, if you're going strictly with the projection model, especially one that is publicly available, like the RotoGrinders one or the bat, you want to go as early as possible. But also, that's information that if you're going to go against a lot of that type of stuff, you want to go as late as possible.
Yeah, exactly.
Tons of action is going to come in on the side that to move the number or move the price better in your favor. So depending on what you're doing, same thing for NBA. If you're looking to take advantage of if Anthony Edwards is going to be in or out, like, you wouldn't be taking Gobert props now. Number one, they're not on the board, but even so, like, if the numbers on the board look like Anthony Edwards is playing, right? And you have a take that says, I think he sits. Well, you should be taking tons of props on the overs of everyone else now.
Right now.
Right. Carl Towns, you should be taking Towns overs now before that news comes out. Right.
Because the minute they say that he's likely to sit, they say he's likely to sit, listen, everybody's sharp now. All the props are gone. They're going to come back, bump 2 or 3 points, 3 to 5 PRA, and you've lost your edge. And so, Blender, I'm so glad you brought that up, because sometimes you might have to make that business decision and just live with it, right? Once again, if you say, I think he's going to sit today because of maybe some news you saw, a variety of trends that the team is, whatever it is. Maybe you got a guy on the inside that says, look, hey, man, AE is not playing tonight. Anthony Edwards not playing. Okay, great, thanks. As an example, I'm just saying it.
Right, but on the other end, Will, let's say that the books and the market think he's going to sit also. So you see
Right.
all these numbers, Towns high, whatever. Maybe your attitude is, I'm going to take all these hundreds because I think
he's going to play. Correct.
Right.
It's the same.
And you want to do that. If you're going to do that, anything that you want to do that early before they come down, they come up when that news comes out or something, right?
Yeah.
Because you want to get the best price and the best number. Because you could bet that later, right? You could bet that Towns over. Like, let's say Towns PRA is at 40 or something. I'm just making up a number. It's going to be 45 when that news comes out. And it doesn't matter what ends up happening, Will, that a lot of people, what we're trying to describe here is that the difference between 40 and 45.
Oh my gosh.
If you did that over and over again forever and get 5 points on a PRA on an over, it doesn't matter that, let's say Karl Anthony Towns, you bet it at 45 and he scores 47. And you're like, well, what did it matter that I got it at 40 or 45? It's like, well, play that out over 300 days out of the year. You're going to lose in between 40 and 45, like 10 or 15% of the time.
Yeah.
While I've won all of those times, you have lost 10 to 15% of the times. This is very similar to when I was posting stuff last year for NFL. Like, here's all the numbers that I got, right? This is just highlights why you get them early. And then someone messaged me after a slate. It was like some Brandon Cooks over. It was some Brandon Cooks under. And I took like Brandon Cooks like under like 49 and a half and or 59 and a half or something. And then the number moved down to like 56 and a half. And someone said, I took, when I posted it on Friday, they took everything that I took, but only at the numbers that it was on Friday, even though I got them Wednesday night. And he's like, I won all the ones that you won except for Brandon Cooks because he got 58 yards.
Of course.
Right? And he goes, well, thank you. And he said, thank you for posting. I go, dude, I post them because you're not supposed to take those numbers now. It's like, yeah, but I won everything except for that one. It's like, yeah, extrapolate that one every single week now. And that's where, and I'll come out profitable and you come out behind. And it's all based on that one that you didn't get the best number and the best price on.
Yeah.
And that's the difference between being profitable and not profitable. So it's as simple as that. And this is why with the, I facetiously said about, me doing a prop show seems like almost pointless because all I'd be doing is just reading. It's like, okay, get these numbers as early as possible. And here's bet 50 bets and close your laptop and I'll see you tomorrow. Like as long as you get the best number and the best price compared to the projections, like I'm fine. I don't care. Like dude, I joke all the time that like, Will, I use Pickett, right? I know you could also use the Action Network app to track your bets. I put everything in early. Like after this show, I'll put in a whole bunch of stuff. I most days, I literally don't know anything until the next morning, and then I just reload and go, how did I do yesterday? Right?
Yeah.
I don't even know what I'm rooting for. I'm not even watching the games. It's just like I'm just banging out, I 80 things or whatever, and then I'm done.
And Blender, guess what? That's the best way to live a happy, less stressful life. Because
I'm not sweating. I'm not looking at Giannis going, oh, I hope hope he gets into foul trouble. Like I'm not even sweating anything. I don't even know. I don't even paying attention.
And I still sweat some NFL, Sunday night football, Monday night football occasionally. But as you grow in the industry, but like I've got to the point now where I kind of don't sweat much. I'm hanging out with my family, doing things. And then I'll just check at the end of the night, as we get to around 10, 11 o'clock, I say, oh, let's see how I'm doing. Okay. Looks like we're doing all right. All right. Well, we'll see how it comes out,
Right. Sports betting isn't as sexy as people make it out to be. Right. They think it is. It's not. It's really not sexy.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Well, Will, what content do you have coming out this week? I know we got some NFL playoff stuff. We got obviously NBA. We got golf. We got MMA. Apparently, the Warriors Jazz game has been postponed.
So we don't even have to worry about that game now,
right? Because of the Milojevic situation, the Warriors assistant coach. They're well, whatever. The game's off. The game's off. So no Warriors. Well, there goes those. Well, that's going to just be a DMP. My Laurie Markkinen and the Wiggins bet. I mean, these are just going to be voided, right? So we have to worry about. Okay, there's one less game.
Yeah.
For the DFS slate, that cuts off even the 9 o'clock game.
So
like
that's
the
what I'm
latest
saying,
game
so
of the slate is 8:30.
this just got even better. Oh, what
other stuff do you got coming out this week, Will?
I have my owner's box stuff. I'll be on the we'll have the Blitz show obviously end of the week. I think we're going to record on Friday again, and then we'll have the pre-lock shows over the weekend for NFL for either for either the 4-gamer and some showdown. And that's it, Linda, because NFL is winding down. MLB is upon us.
Yeah, can't wait for MLB. To me, MLB is my favorite for props.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Absolutely. My number one, hands down, Linda. Like that, I make my yearly set. Look, I make plenty of money during NBA, plenty of money during NFL. But MLB is such a long, drawn out. See, you just make more money because it starts like in March, you go through October. Like, so that I just make so much money over an extended period of time. It's the money maker.
Well, tune in. We got Grinders Live later today. We got Crunch Time. Tune into that Swolecast, I believe. They're probably doing a playoff Swolecast on the Swolecast channel. Scores and Odds stuff with Grant. You want to subscribe to that channel as well. We got SimLabs now beta for NBA. So if you want to play tonight's NBA slate, if you're a premium member, click on the link in the description. Get $10 off your first month. You could use SimLabs. Well, obviously, once stuff gets updated. Obviously, the Jazz game is off. The Warriors Jazz game is off, so that'll be off the slate. We got everything for you here at RotoGrinders. We got Tim will be here tomorrow for NHL. Every time I say someone's going to be here tomorrow, it's always someone different or no one. All right. Tim had internet problems. Kyle was supposed to be on today, and it ended up being you.
Listen,
who knows?
I always show up. I always show up with you, Blender.
Well, someone will be on tomorrow. We'll probably talk a little bit more about the NHL slate on Thursday. Friday is kind of a mixed potpourri. Got some we got a UFC pay-per-view card. We got some it's obviously NHL, NBA, PGA, everything. We got everything for you here, right? Because that's what I do. Monday through Fridays, 11 o'clock Eastern, talking about all things you're thinking about in daily fantasy, props, and pick'em on RotoGrinders Today.